You're in the water loop.
Waterloop is made possible in part by grants from Spring Point Partners and the Walton Family Foundation. Hi, this is Travis with Waterloop. High Sierra showerheads are an awesome choice because of their water efficiency, but they have to look good too. And with High Sierra, the design and style options mean they can fit into any bathroom. Finishes come in chrome, brushed nickel, oil rub bronze, and polished brass. In addition to the sleek classic model, High Sierra also offers a half-dome design, handheld options, extension arms, and trickle valves to control flow. Plus, High Sierra offers the Reflections model, the only fogless shaving mirror with a built-in shower head. Use promo code LOOP20 for 20% off at highsierrashowerheads.com.
You're in the water loop.
Welcome to Waterloop. This is Travis. Going to have a very fun episode about art and water and murals and characters and music and Philadelphia. So very happy to be joined by two people from Philadelphia Water, Tiffany Ledesma and Maura Jarvis, aka Water Woman, who is in costume. If you're not watching and you're just listening, you're missing out on that. But thank you both for coming on.
Thank you. We're so excited to be here, Travis.
Yeah, so there's a lot happening with art in Philly. And I think, Tiffany, like we talked before, Philly's always got something going on the waterfront. You know, it's an area known for pushing frontiers and green infrastructure and all different aspects. So this is just another example of Philly leading the way, I think. How did this idea originate to infuse art into public outreach for the Philadelphia Water Department?
Well, Philadelphia Water Department has been working with educators, with artists for a very long time, like more on the education front. But over the past decade or so, the Water Department has been partnering with the Mural Arts of Philadelphia. And so through that vehicle, we've been able to explore a lot of different types of engagement interventions that are a little more unique or more like less typical of what you would do like with kids in a school and an art project. And we've been trying to infuse this experience of art and culture into our community engagement with community members and customers. So a lot more of the adult population. And the Water Department's been doing this. I've been doing it for at least about maybe 12, 15 years with them. And we've done everything from working with like yarn bombers, yarn artists, and musicians. Recently, we're working with poets and muralists. So it's been really, really interesting to see what sticks and what works. But I think the bottom line is that in communications, you have to use a variety of tools to reach different audiences. And we need to remember that art and culture is a tool for communications, and it works. And it's helpful when you're trying to talk about science and technical content as well.
Yeah. And I think in particular, a lot of your focus is on drinking water, outreach and messaging on drinking water. What makes drinking water and art, such good companions, if you will? Why is that like a good messaging vehicle, a powerful messenger?
The theme of water and art, I think, are integrated. I think, first of all, everybody can connect to drinking water. We all use it every day, whether we're drinking from the faucet or, just using water in the shower. But everybody can connect to water, and everybody has an experience beyond just drinking it that I think connects to that more, soulful side, whether you're like jumping in the ocean or you're listening to a creek. There's so many different elements of water that I think connect with us in these metaphysical ways beyond just, providing us with our drinking water minimum daily intake. Yeah. So there's a lot of opportunity to go in a lot of creative directions when you're talking about water.
We mentioned murals. How have murals been used to communicate? What are some examples? What's the history there?
Yeah, I mean, we've used murals in a variety of ways, and I have to say with murals, and specifically with the Mural Arts of Philadelphia, they have a very neat program where they have these art painting days, and they invite the community to be a part of the process. So, which is one of the reasons why we enjoy working with them on murals, because the community members that are living with the mural are actually painting the mural with the artist as well. And that gives us an opportunity to share the education and share the information about the messages behind the mural with the actual residents. And, once those experiences occur, the people that are painting the mural and that are part of the process then associate that mural with, so much pride, like civic pride, because they feel that they have contributed to their community and to the aesthetics and the beautification, and then they become ambassadors of the project and they're showing off the mural. So it's a really great experience when you can engage the community in the art making process, like the Mural Arts program does. And so that's one of the things that we're always, very, very thoughtful about. Like, we want to make sure as many people as possible can be a part of the process.
I have a few examples of the mural projects that we have worked on. And these are such fantastic projects because, like Tiffany was saying, the community can sort of like come together around this, and we can, talk about things where people might not necessarily, we can bring water and art together in ways that people really didn't even imagine. So this particular project that we're looking at right now is at the site of a vacant lot, or a former vacant lot, that was completely transformed with, a bunch of partners. This is a photo from our celebration. But you can see in this photo right here, there's a rain garden now at this vacant lot. It used to be overgrown, fenced off, everything. And the community partners, the water department, all came together and created something really beautiful. So we put a rain garden here, which manages stormwater. We had the Mural Project, where the community members were actually helping to paint the mural, and were involved in community meetings where they learned both about the upcoming project and about environmental education, watershed protection. They're learning about all these things, in our presentations about green infrastructure. But then on top of that, they're participating in a process that beautifies an asset in their community, which is like really like the best thing that can possibly happen. Another example of a collaborative project is our mural with the Pennsylvania Horticulture Society. Yeah. And this is a really neat combination of drinking water, stormwater, and like the importance of vegetation, nutrition, plants, like all of these things coming together, which are all related. So yeah, just we're trying to find ways to talk about different messages in a way that speaks to people who may understand things in different ways. Some people, they appreciate sitting down at a community meeting and hearing a presentation. Other people, the message gets through if you sort of access maybe a part of their mind or their soul, where it's like music, painting, artistic outlets really speak to people in ways that sometimes, regular community meetings or things like that just don't.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I definitely encourage people to view this podcast if they're just listening, or check out some of the clips on my Waterloop social media, because the images are beautiful. It's awesome art. Huge murals too. Those are good size. Any idea how many different projects have been done in the Philadelphia area like this? Is it
Well, in terms of murals, we're the mural city of the world. There's more murals, over 1,000 murals in Philadelphia. But in terms of the water department engaging artists, I would say we've done, off the top of my head, maybe at least 50 in the city.
Wow.
And then engaged, so many people throughout the process, which is really the purpose. The outcome of the physical presence of the art is one thing, but the walk away, like what do you leave that experience with, is the most critical piece for us, because we want to make sure people are understanding why we're doing it. We worked with two communities more recently in North Philadelphia, predominantly Latino community and African American Black community. And we used research data about drinking water in Philadelphia as our motivation for bringing artists and muralists, specifically in addition to singers, to really help the community in these two, with these two populations in particular, better connect to feeling more comfortable drinking tap water at home.
Yeah, Tiffany, could you talk a little bit more about the hesitancy in the Latino community, in the African American community, about tap water and the disparity there, and why that outreach and education is so important?
Yeah, it's different everywhere you go, but in Philadelphia specifically, we do know that the folks that are drinking the most amount of tap water are white, affluent, educated customers. And so on the flip side, the people who have the least resources, the people who have the least amount of education, the people who are second or speak English as a second language, those populations, you see, they're the ones that are drinking the most bottled water at home. And so there's definitely a disparity. And so we wanted to be able to, the reasons why are varied. There's everything from, your culture. Like I grew up outside of the continental US. I grew up in Puerto Rico, and I never drank tap water in Puerto Rico. So when I came here, I was very hesitant to drink tap water. But obviously now I'm a huge proponent of it because I understand it's safe, but it took me a little while to feel that I could trust the source. So if you're coming from somewhere with that perspective, obviously that's going to be a hurdle. And in addition to that, there's been a history of distrust between community, people, and utility and government. And so it can be scary to know whether or not whether the water is that's coming out of your faucet is actually water that you can trust. So we know that we have very high quality water in Philadelphia. We're very fortunate that way. And we felt it was important that the folks, especially that couldn't afford afford bottled water, would feel more confident drinking tap water at home.
We chose two communities to install these murals where we felt they represented those groups based on our research that needed this outreach. And it's been really amazing, like doing this work and being able to see the murals come to life. I mean, the fact that I have this picture up is like really amazing to me. And so basically the process was that we had community meetings at these rec centers in the targeted communities. And we talked to them. What are your concerns about the water? How do you feel? We provided them with surveys to see what they thought, before hearing what we had to say. And, we talked about the project and how they could be involved, but also gave them a lot of information about the drinking water quality. People were very interested to know that the water in Philly is safe and good to drink, because really the perception for such a long time and by so many people in these communities is that they can't trust the city, they can't trust the water, and I do want to say that a lot of the concerns that people have are very valid. If you're even in my own experience, I have family members who really who still don't drink tap water, even though they're related to water women, and it comes from generations of mistrust. It comes from, like if my great grandmother told my grandmother not to drink tap water, then she's going to tell her kids not to drink it. And then that, what I mean? It all gets passed down, and people really, in communities where they have been disenfranchised, where they are under-resourced, where, we have to do what's best for us. people listen to their communities. That's why it's so important for us to try and express how good the water is and help people understand it. And so what you'll see here in these murals is we had a really amazing artist named Carlo Rosa, who worked with us with Mural Arts. And he designed these fabulous murals with bright colors, with imagery from indigenous populations, like indigenous Taino culture, which stems from Puerto Rico, and native plants to Philadelphia, and images of water being poured. And then on top of that, we have actual community members who are seen drinking out of reusable bottles, drinking from water fountains, drinking tap water, so that people can see, their own doing what we're, promoting. So it's a really beautiful thing. So I'm just going to go through some more of the photos so you can see. We had a really beautiful concept. And I just love, this idea of showing people drinking the water. And, I really hope that some of their neighbors are seeing this and thinking, wow, that is such an amazing concept. And hey, maybe, I can drink the water. And these are some of the photos from the other site that we went to, Cruz Rec Center. Just really like stunning imagery. And just very dynamic, showing people in the community. So yeah, it's a very exciting project, and I'm just really happy with how everything came out in this conversation that we're having.
Yeah, well, mentioning the word conversation, you can see you could imagine people in the neighborhood walking by and seeing that, and it just makes them stop and think, right? Like, oh, what's going on? Water, drinking water, and it just spurs that whole awareness, like you've talked about. Very, very cool. I want to pivot because, that's kind of the visual arts there. But you've mentioned a few times, both of you have kind of mentioned music. And I'd love to hear a little bit more about the efforts to use music to communicate about water there in Philly.
Well, along the same lines as murals, music also really touches on the heart and the soul, right? Unlike, a white paper or data, or when you're reading about case studies at work, those of us that are like water geeks on the technical side, that have a connection more to science and engineering, we can appreciate the data and the white paper. But, that obviously doesn't work for everybody. And, we wanted to be able to explore different mediums to figure out, where can we engage the most folks? And music is one of those tools that connects with everyone. And so we really, were intent on trying to get this message about drinking more tap water through song.
We just sort of tasked these local artists with creating a song about drinking more tap water, and something that would just like express to people that it's safe to drink, that it's affordable, that it's sustainable, but in like a catchy way, So, and like we're saying, art and music, like all of these things really touch people. If I can hear a song that I can like, hey, get into, then it sort of like opens you up to be free, to be more open-minded, I guess, to see things in a different way. And that's what's so special about this campaign, is that, we can sort of, if you can get somebody to tap their foot, to move their shoulders, then I think it's a little bit easier to talk about these things rather than to try and have like a really serious conversation. We have some really awesome songs. We have Sunny Shine, who is more of like a soul artist. She had a really great take on drinking tap water. We also have a Brazilian musician, Dende, who we actually had like sort of like a podcast type of conversation with a few of our artists. And he mentioned that there is a song in Brazil that's talking about water, but I think it was more so about bottles. And now he said that his inspiration was to create a song that was an answer to that was about drinking tap water. And again, you have that, connection of immigrants, people coming here from other places, and they might not have the experience of being able to drink tap water or not trusting the government, things like that. But then coming here and learning that it's safe and it's possible to drink tap here. So I thought that was just really special, and being able to connect with them and their stories, and then also through the music, is fantastic.
Yeah, and I would add to that just to say, like, the musicians, the artists themselves also become ambassadors of the message. And they've also shared with us, how impactful just the art making process has been in terms of converting them to like tap water champions. And also just being able to feel that the water department actually cares about them. When we were working with Los Bomberos de la Calle, the Puerto Rican group, on their tap water song, they expressed us. They said, I didn't realize that the water department like cared about us this much, that they would actually want us to use our music, bomba plena, that's the traditional folkloric music from Puerto Rico, that they would want to use that as a vehicle to connect with us so much about, water, so that we could change our behaviors, which would ultimately help our pockets, right? So we're not spending so much money when we may already be struggling to pay the bills at home. So, just it's like not only, something that I feel like resonates on a level of just, information sharing, but it's also like just feeling good and having, a positive association with your utility and with government, and feeling like, that's like the beginning of the trust making process. So being able to get there takes a lot of time. It's such a slow process to build trust. So you really need to make sure that you're working with folks that are respected in the community and using channels that speak to them. So if it's music, that's a really great way to accelerate, the funnel, the flow of information.
Maura, obviously you're an ambassador, right? That's your big role, is having this great information in your head, being able to talk to people, having the personality you do. So I'd love to hear a little bit more about how you are deployed, how you go out to do your superhero crusades here. Are you kind of like go to these different events and show up and bring your personality, or explain that a little bit.
Yeah, sure. So Water Woman has many talents. I do everything. Marvel, I'm waiting for a contract to make a comic book, an action figure. I'm all good for that. No, but seriously, it is a really fantastic opportunity to just go out and talk to people. I love being able to, like I said, you need something to sort of like break down the walls with people. You need like a little bit of an icebreaker, something to like set the mood, and a cape and a tiara, they just do that, like people really, it's like, if they talk to Maura Jarvis from the water department, it's like, okay, you're cool, nice, but if you're talking to Water Woman, people kind of like stand up a little bit, they listen a little bit more, they're like, okay, a superhero's telling me to drink tap water. Okay, maybe I should listen to her. So it's so fun. But yeah, I mean, Water Woman, I do tons of events, just being that like mascot, that beacon for the message, and just promoting various things. But a lot of times it is drinking tap water. Which is like just a very cool thing, because like I said, people just love the energy. They love this different thing, and you can connect with people of all ages. I am not just somebody who can only talk to kids, although kids love me. I love when little girls come up to me and they say, "Oh, you're a water princess." I'm like, yeah. And I just love that. That's like inspiring. But then also for adults, people see me in the costume and it's just something about it. And I think, being able to have this persona definitely makes it easier to talk about things. I do social media, like you can see right here. Videos online, especially this past year, haven't been able to do too many events, but I love going on our social media and talking about drinking tap water, or the creeks and the rivers and stopping pollution, all that stuff.
You can't go anywhere with Maura with Water Woman, I should say, when she's in costume and not get stopped. I mean, we will walk like 10 feet and people will just like flock to her. So it's just a great way to get like information out about water. It's amazing. Like just having Maura walk around the block, like you wouldn't imagine like the amount of engagement. It's incredible. Or going on the subway or like, just going on the bus. Like it's just awesome just to have, a magnet. People just really like just gravitate to her.
I love it. I love it.
Mm-hmm.
A couple other things I wanted to ask about. You mentioned poetry a little bit. I know that you have kind of a new initiative going on involving Philly's poet laureate and maybe some other stuff. What's going on there?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, we were very fortunate in that the U.S. Water Alliance partnered with Philadelphia, Milwaukee, Tucson, and Madison. And they worked with us over the past year on trying to figure out how we can move the needle in the arts and culture world. Arts, water, and culture world. And so they've been really wonderful in providing support to artists, grant funding to artists, to help us really use new ways to push arts and culture in the space that we're in with water and climate change. And so in the Philadelphia area, we partnered with Tiffany Mason, who is Philadelphia's poet laureate. She's from Germantown, which is historically a very flood-prone community. And we've been working in Germantown with a task force, a community-led task force, on trying to help them prepare better for climate change and flood events in the future. And as we've been doing that, we're also working now with this incredible human being, Tripita, the poet, and she's helping us come up with a strategy that involves storytelling and creative writing and rhyming with the customers so that they could heal from these flooding events that they've either experienced directly or they know or that their community has experienced. And so this is definitely a new territory for us in terms of working through poetry in such a intensive way. And so it's been a really, really special and unique engagement process thanks to the U.S. Water Alliance.
That's their kind of the arts accelerator effort, and worked in a number of cities around the country and tried to push and promote this whole approach that you're talking about. So I look forward to hearing what comes out of that work with the poet laureate there.
Yeah, maybe we can share some of the poetry afterwards later this year.
Absolutely. It sounds good.
Yeah.
Well, you all have mentioned a lot with the murals and the music and the poetry and all these different art efforts. It's always important to give artists credit. So do you want to just kind of give some shout outs to all the people there in Philly that have been involved?
Absolutely. We definitely want to give a shout out to Yuri Jones, Mike Reale, Galo Cruz. I think those were the main artists that we showed where we showcased their work today. And obviously, Tiffany Mason is the poet laureate for Philadelphia. Are we missing anybody, Maura? Oh, and Dave McShane. He did the work at 13th and Arch with Yuri Jones. So without them, this wouldn't be possible. So we're very grateful for them.
Yeah, very cool stuff. Well, I definitely encourage people that are watching or listening to this podcast to check out the imagery and all the different art that you're doing. Philly like I said in the beginning, Philly keeps leading the way with all these water initiatives. Really fun, impactful stuff here. But Tiffany and Water Woman Maura, thank you both for your time and the conversation. Enjoyed it a ton.
Thank you so much. This is wonderful.
Yeah, thank you so much. This was really fantastic.
Thanks, everyone, for listening to today's episode. A special thanks to Waterloop supporters, Spring Point Partners, and the Walton Family Foundation. The Waterloop podcast is sponsored by High Sierra Showerheads, the smart, stylish way to save energy, water, and money while enjoying a powerful shower. Use promo code LOOP20 for 20% off at highsierrashowerheads.com. If you like Waterloop, please subscribe to the YouTube channel or your favorite podcast platform. Follow us on social media and visit waterloop.org to sign up for updates.
Waterloop, Waterloop, Waterloop.